Start the recording. Share the screen. Desktop 1. So I'm going to make a new document, preferably Action Script 3. So File, New, Action Script 3, okay. File, Save As. I'm going to call it O space multiple pages. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our timeline look like this, right? If we zoomed in, we'd see that there are some keyframes in certain spots. And on the actions layer, there are some keyframes that happen on the frame before. Like if this is at frame 10, then this is going to be at 9. If this is at 20, it's going to be at 19, and so on. They're going to be kind of staggered like that. And then we're going to wind up putting stop commands on all of these. But we're not going to just have to memorize that. What we're going to do is go ahead and make 3 layers: actions, buttons, and pages. So 3 layers. Top one, actions. Middle one, buttons. Bottom one, pages. All righty. Now we got some keyframes.
Layer 1 is actions.
Right, that's correct.
Actions.
And then
Second
buttons.
one is buttons.
Yep, buttons and pages.
And third
Right. And so now on the actions layer, we're going to create several keyframes. 9, 19, 29, and 39 are going to get keyframes.
the actions.
Not necessarily blank, although it wouldn't hurt because there's nothing on them to begin with. But go to the actions, do the little mountain thing to make it easy to click on things. Okay, so we want one on 9. Right-click on 9 and do Insert Keyframe. And one on 19. And one on 29. And one on 39.
You didn't have anything drawn, though.
Not yet. We're just setting up the framework first. All righty. And then it wants us to go and add the stop commands to each one of those. Remember to stop, parentheses, in parentheses, semicolon. So on frame 1,
Action.
frame 1, actions, stop, open parentheses, close parentheses, and don't forget our semicolon. And you may as well just copy that because we're going to have to like type it in 4 more times.
No capital. Just
No caps.
stop. Open parentheses. Close parentheses.
Yep,
And then
semicolon.
semicolon.
Then copy it so that you can paste it a couple times. All right, and so do that for frame 1, for frame 9. Type it in. Do it for 19 and 29 and 39. And you know what? The one on frame 1, we're probably going to wind up deleting, but it's okay. I don't mind that we did it. The instructions didn't say to do it, though, so.
Frame 19.
Yep. 19 and 29 and 39. So we should have our little AOs like almost every 10 frames, right? Well, I shouldn't say AO. The O represents the keyframe and the A represents an action in that keyframe.
And third.
Yep, 39. Okay, now on the pages layer, we need some keyframes, but we've already got one at 1, so we want them at 10, 20, and 30.
You want what at 10, 30, 10?
We want keyframes on the pages layer. So at 10, insert a keyframe, 20, insert a keyframe, and this is on the bottom layer, the pages layer.
10. You wanted to on the next number after.
Yep, just make sure that they're on the same. So if that one's on 9, that
How
one's
about
on 10.
2.
We've already got a keyframe there on 1. We're going to wind up removing that stop command. That was my mistake. Yeah, very good question. So you need one at 10, 20, and 30.
And 40.
We're not going to actually put one on 40.
Don't.
Yeah, I've kind of made a mistake here. What have I done? I need to undo a couple steps and redo it. But following the instructions, it says to put them on 10, 20, and 30. So we'll find out what we do with frame 40 in just a minute.
Yeah, I've already done it, so I don't.
Well, it's probably not going to hurt. Yeah, because, you know, I almost just did it too. All righty. And then it says, finish it off by putting frames, not keyframes, on 40 of all 3 layers. And like I said, it's not going to mess you up, but let's go do that. So on frame 40, we need a frame, not keyframe, on the actions layer, on the buttons layer. And if you put a keyframe at 40, that's okay. But if you didn't, put a frame there as well. Now you did, so don't worry, don't sweat it.
Well, I had already cleared that.
Oh, you cleared it? Okay, then put a regular frame there.
Just a blank frame.
Yep.
And then one on the actions.
Yeah. All right, something's nagging at me. The scripts, we're going to need scripts. I guess they're just down here in the document. I didn't attach them separately. Okay, that's fine then. All right, so we've done all of this stuff. This is what our timeline looks like. Except we have a script on 1. That's okay, we'll fix that. We'll replace it with what's coming up. So change frame 1 of the pages layer and change its label name. So frame 1 of the pages layer needs to get a name. I closed the document before I saw what his name needs to be. P1, lowercase p1. So click on frame 1 of the pages layer, come to the label, and call it lowercase p1.
On name.
Yep. And then click on frame 10 and call it P2. Name it P2. So click frame 10 of the pages layer and call it lowercase p2. 20 is P3. 30 is P4.
What happened to that? That's in the library. Where'd they go? It disappeared on me when I did 30. Okay, P4.
So now we have these little red flags here, followed by the labels. P1, P2, P3, P4. Those are our actual pages. This is where our good content is going to go.
I just had some weird thing happen to me.
Oh, yeah?
Where my black pointer turned into a pin.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it did it again.
No, didn't keep doing that, but you might save your document quick and reload it.
Yeah, but look, you see what I'm saying? And then this popped up after I did that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Wow. Okay. Somehow that got selected. Now we're good to go.
But I didn't do it.
Yeah, I believe you. Okay, so he needs an, okay, yeah, pages P1, P2, P3, and P4. You put your actions on the bottom, that's cool. They'll work fine with you. Okay, we all good?
Yeah, I'm saving. So should I have actions on the top?
Doesn't matter, really. I do recommend that you put buttons on top of pages, though. And I think you have pages on top. And the reason for that is that if buttons is above pages, then the buttons can't be hidden by your content.
The
If-
buttons on top.
Yeah,
Okay, I got it now. Actions, buttons, page.
yeah.
The pages are the one with the red flag.
Yep. And we're going to actually probably start drawing stuff there. So that's what our timeline looks like now. We got our little red flags.
Yes.
No, it doesn't. That's not a
Missing
correct
some
picture.
flags.
I'm going to have to fix this. Fix this. Meh. Okay. Now to add the buttons. So we go to Windows Components.
If you don't have them up here,
Yeah, so Window Components. And there they are. And then open up User Interface if it's not already open.
it's open.
And drag out 4 buttons. Yep, under the Window menu, Window, Components, and then click the arrow next to User Interface so that we get to see.
Use the same buttons?
Yeah, yeah.
4 of them, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, now we've got labels and we've got names. The labels you change by going to Window Component Parameters. So pop open Window Component Parameters, click on one of the buttons and give them a better name.
Component parameters.
Label's a stupid name, so let's call this one Page Space 1. And then click on the next one and change his label to Page Space 2. The third one.
What are you doing there?
See, I popped open the component parameters, and then I click on a button, and you see where it says label, I'm changing them.
Okay. And you putting a P, or you using the whole word?
I'm using the whole word, yep.
And yours is capital.
I capitalize it, doesn't matter. Yeah, and if you didn't put these on the buttons layer, I may not have cut them and then paste them on the button layer instead. So yeah, we need to be dragging these components out. Three more. You select each one and change the label. That means we call it each one. And then the next one will be page 2 and so on. Let me check. Did you get those on the buttons layer or the pages? It looks like same thing. In the pages layer with the buttons. Yep. Okay. So just grab all 4 of these. Put them all. And then go to the first frame of the buttons layer. And put this in place. Michael, I need to make sure that you put your buttons on the buttons layer because I know I did.
Well, I had it highlighted.
You did it. You did it. Good job. All right, cool. Now we're going to change their names, right? This was just a label, but they have to have names as well. Why do they have to have names? Because the script has to tie them together by their names. So where did we change their names? Up here in the properties panel, but let me remind myself what they need to be called. B1, B2, B3, and B4, all lowercase. So click on your page 1 button, go to properties and change this instance name to lowercase B1. Just hint it or something.
That's why I didn't want to use capital.
Yeah,
I
right.
remember.
And then do the same thing for page 2, page 3, page 4. They should be named B2. B3,
There's the button.
yep, and B4. And for our viewers at home, I goofed up and I put the buttons on the pages layer, so I need to select all 4 of them, cut, go to the buttons layer and paste them. So that if I hid the buttons layer, they would disappear and reappear. Okay. Alrighty. So if we played it, it wouldn't do a darn thing, you know, because we don't have any content and we don't have any scripts. So we're going to wind up putting some stuff on page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. Yes, sir.
So you said so that if you hit the buttons layer, they'll disappear and reappear.
Well, right. I hit the eyeball and my buttons disappeared.
Oh,
They do say that they're movie clips. I don't know that they really are buttons. Yeah, they're smarter than we are. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, yeah. Right. Okay. Good point, good point. I'll mention that for the video.
I didn't know, I didn't remember what was the movie points, I mean clips.
Yeah, so one thing you'll notice is that although we said these were buttons as we dragged them out, these are provided by Adobe. They're super more complex than our buttons are. So if we look at them, they're actually movie clips. But don't change it or else it breaks it. If you drew your own buttons, it would actually say button there. But these super buttons that they've given us are actually implemented as movie clips. So just don't change those to match the name button. That won't work. All righty. I think it's almost time to start drawing stuff. Right-click on frame 1 of the actions layer and then type in the script. Okay, so there's our script. Just go, I'm not going to type this in. You got to be kidding me. I'm going to go in to the Word document and copy that script. Edit, copy. And then I'm going to go frame 1 of actions and paste this in. We're going to get rid of that stop that we put there by accident. Okay. So frame 1 of actions, right click, choose actions, delete that stop, just back up over it, and paste our good stuff.
Okay. Frame 1 of actions.
Yep.
Actions. And delete stop.
Yep. Just backspace over it.
And paste.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so what we're going to have to do now is to go to P1 and draw something, P2 and draw something, P3 and draw something, and P4 and draw something.
Okay. I got a question.
Yeah.
Now, if we were going to do an art portfolio, could I copy a picture in Illustrator and paste it in frame 1?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. You're probably going to wind up with a huge Flash document if you do that, but it's okay. You know, it may be several megabytes, depending on how many pictures you put in it, but that's okay.
What if I
Don't sweat it.
What if I paste a small picture? You know, going down.
It may still be huge. We'll find out. You know, because you can do a resize, like if you resize it in Photoshop and stuff like that, then that actually would reduce the size of it. But if you take it out of Illustrator, it's going to have the same size information regardless of whether you grow it or shrink it. That's my guess.
Okay, I'll try and work with something I already have in the library.
Okay. So for P1, I'm going to lock all my other layers. I don't want to draw on the actions layer. Now, what I usually have us do is have us go and get some pictures and paste it in there. I may be super lazy and just write something with the paintbrush, you know. There, I got a 1. And then I'm going to click on P2 and draw a 2. I'm going to go to P3 and draw a 3 and P4. And there we go.
Okay, P1. Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and
I
test
did
mine.
this before.
Okay, so page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. Somehow by a miracle it actually worked. But you know, these numbers are kind of lame. So I'm going to undo all that and I'm going to go and find something a little bit better off the internet. So I'm going to go up and Google some numbers. Page 1. Oh, I forgot. My warning is don't type in the word page 3 and do a search, because page 3 is the British people's term for like playmate. So I'm going to type in number 1. Yeah, just grab one of these. That's what I'm going to do. Right click on them. I want one without a copy mark. All right, remember, copy image and then come back in to Flash and paste it. Whoa, okay. Talk about large pictures. Not what I was expecting. All right, and then I'm going to go and find a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Now, what's important to remember is that since we put some space between these could actually be animated. And if you need more space to animate than just 10 frames, which isn't really very much, you'd have to move these stop commands over as well, right? So if we made an animation for page 1 that went from frame 1 to 50, we'd have to insert enough frames so that our stop command happened on frame 50, if that makes sense. You just got to line them up so that where page 2 begins, there's a stop 1 frame before it. And where page 3 begins, there's a stop 1 frame before it. And the amount of space doesn't matter. That space is just there to illustrate that you could animate something. Like I have this 3 here. I'm going to make it classic tween. So I'm going to insert a frame, a keyframe there, and my 3 is going to fall out of space and land there.
And you just putting in a classic tween between the keyframes?
Right. I did, like on frame, I don't know which one it is, 28 or something. I inserted a new frame And then on frame 20, I dragged the 3 up higher, and then I did a classic tween so it'd fall and land.
Oh. Okay. I'm gonna try this.
And I don't have a 4 yet. And as soon as I plop a 4 down, I'll walk around, make sure everybody else has got what you want. Well, that's kind of chaotic. Let's choose that one. All right. Now, if I haven't messed my scripts up, this should work. Page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. And if you're doing a multi-frame animation, you know, multi-frame document, you don't have to put animation in there, right? But you can. Kind of gives it a dynamic feel to it if things move a little bit when they click on it. But if you're doing like 100 different pictures, they don't all need to be moving, right? Okay, I want to make sure that everybody's got this going, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be changing it so it has a next button and a previous button. Which, you know, 4 buttons, 4 pages, that's cool. But 200 pages, 200 buttons would not be cool. And I told you about the girl who did the, you know, the 200 frame animation from a, you know, an anime that, you know, she had bought the frames off an auction or something like that, and they were hand-drawn pictures. And so, you know, she made an animation out of them, and you had to click the next button each time to see each frame. And it was really cool. But you wouldn't have wanted 200 buttons along the bottom. All right, that's cool. I do want you to do the next step of the script, even though you don't have to understand. Because you do have the boxes. You know how to do the you know, the art and stuff like that. So what we're going to do next is there is another Dropbox with a modified script. And the script is a lot more complicated than this one, but that's okay. It's not more complicated to use. Here's what our script looks like right now, right? It's very short. It says button 1 is going to do that stuff. Go to and play P1. Button 2 is going to do that stuff. Button 3 is going to do that stuff. Button 4 is going to do that stuff. If you wanted to, you could add button 5 and button 6 and button 7 and button 8. You know, at a certain point, you'd find that kind of intolerable, right? How many buttons do you want on your screen? So let's go get the more sophisticated script. Oh, by the way, let's just save this one, right? We've done a good job here. So save it and then do a save as and call it multiple pages part 2. Okay, let me go grab the other script.
Save as. Save, I mean, save it. And now we're gonna add to it, right?
Right, so refresh your Dropbox, and down at the bottom of our lectures is a new one called P. And yeah, it's out of order, right? But I'll move it up there eventually. There's a couple of documents in it. One we can totally ignore because it's a starting point, right? If we need one, well, we don't need one. We just did it. So let's pop open this doc file and see what he has to say about everything. All right. So animation exercise, multiple page document with a next and previous button. So we will modify our multiple pages document from the earlier assignment And we will have a next and a previous button, which may be more appropriate for a portfolio of pictures or artwork. So the first thing we do, delete buttons 3 and 4, right? Because all we're going to have is next and previous. So we don't need buttons 3 and 4. My buttons layer is locked, so I can't delete them. How about that? All right. Page 3 button needs to go by. Page 4 button needs to go by. Okay, cool. And then replace the action script in frame 1 with the script on the following page, and it's also in the RTF. Probably easier to copy it from the RTF file. So I'm going to click on that RTF, which just stands for another form of, it's another form of Word document, simpler form. So I'm going to go grab this one that says next and previous buttons.rtf. I'm going to click it and open it. It may not open as a Word doc depending on your operating system, but you'll be able to copy that. Okay, there we go. There it is. And this stuff's showing in my way I can get. Okay. Copy the whole thing. Look, there's a lot of it. I told you it was more complicated, but it's not more complicated for us to use because we're just going to copy and paste it. So select all, edit, select all, or Command A, Control A, edit, copy, close it. Go back to your script and edit frame 1 of your actions layer. So I need to unlock my actions layer, select frame 1, right click, choose actions, and just replace all this stuff. Highlight it all, hit the delete, the backspace button, and then paste your new script into it.
All right.
All righty. Now I want you to take a look at this script here. It has this comment up here. If you wanted to add sound, we would use this import. I don't really think we would. We didn't in the past. That could probably go away. But this modified version adds a function that stops all currently playing sounds. Oh, does it? Well, then I better not undelete that. Okay. So the way it works is it's got this little list here of pages, right? If you go and you add more pages because you want to put 10 pieces of art on it, you would have to go and modify this. You'd have to put in a comma P5 end quote, and a comma P6 end quote, right? Now we only have 4 pages, so this is enough, but I'm just saying, if you work on your stuff and you put more than 4 pages, which would be awesome, to get it to work completely, you're gonna have to modify this line of the script. But it's not too hard because you already see the pattern, right? It's just numbers and quotes with commas between them. And that's really going to be about the only change we need to make as you add pages. Now, what would we have had to do with our script beforehand? Let me undo it and show you. If we wanted a page 5, we would have had to make a new one of these, and we'd had to make a new one of these. And then when we did a page 6, we'd have to make a new one of these lines and a new set of lines down here. We're not going to do that. Instead, if you ever make any more pages, you just add them onto that list there. Okay. Who knows? Maybe it's already ready to go. I'm going to kick Command Return and see what it does.
Well, you didn't have it. Oh, yes. That's a clue.
And so notice what it's done. The previous button is grayed out, and the next button is lit up. Now, one thing you may notice is that it didn't say previous, right? It said page 1. The script is taking care of renaming that button to say previous. Just like it's taking care of disabling it so that we can't click on it, right? We're on the first page, you can't go back any further. So let's hit next. Hit next again. Next one more time. And now the next button is grayed out. Previous, previous, previous. So what would you do if you were going to add more pages? What you would do is you would just continue this pattern that we did, right? You'd need a P5 here,
Right.
and you need a stop command there. And then later on, you need a P6 there and a stop command there. So I think y'all know how to do it now. I think you can do any multi-page document that you want now.
Okay, should we Well, my flash don't do nothing. It's not moving.
Let me come take a look. So that's it. Go ahead and upload one of these into folder O, and then the part 2 into folder P. And I'll see you all next time.